guys I kiss. I always keep a list of all the guys I kiss.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Living Legendary with Lady Sham and Baby Nigel. Today we have an incredible guest. We have Kathy Brown. Kathy Brown is a former Playboy model. She's an event planner that did events for the Oscars, the Emmys, all kinds of red carpet things in LA. And Kathy Brown was on episode 6, season 3 of Botched. The episode is called Plastic Fantastic, and I was actually on the episode with Kathy as her friend when she underwent some incredible plastic surgery. And I'm looking at her. It looks beautiful. Kathy's actually here in person. Say hi, Kathy.
Hi.
Kathy these days lives in the Coachella Valley, and she runs a very successful vacation rental business. So welcome to Living Legendary, Kathy. How are you?
Thank you. I'm a little raspy because it's Coachella, and I've been working really hard with Coachella rentals and spring break, but it's all good.
Well, I know you came originally from a small town and then moved to Hollywood, like so many girls do, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, where were you from?
Well, I was actually born in Houston, which is not such a small town, but I left there when I was 9, and then I moved to Kansas City, the outskirts, with 500 people, and it still has 500 people. So I grew up in the sticks in Kansas City, Missouri.
Wow.
Yes.
And when did you come out to Hollywood?
1985.
Wow.
I left Dallas because I started modeling when I was 10 in Kansas City. Wendy Ward, Montgomery Wards, they had their own little modeling thing. And I kept getting asked to be in things. So it was really great as a kid and all through high school. And then...
So you were a child model?
Yes.
Okay. And
yeah.
So did you come to Hollywood with dreams of being an actress, or?
Yeah, I think modeling more than TV, but I was in the Miss World pageant. I represented Kansas, not Missouri, because Missouri already had someone. So you know how pageants sometimes are kind of fixed. So they put me on the Kansas side, even though I didn't live in Kansas. You learn this. And then I remember one girl stole my shoes. So I mean, people are so vicious when you're in different things. But that was a real learning experience because I had no shoes. But I had some different experiences. And then when I was 25, I moved to the Big D because I was in Houston, and everyone wants to live in Dallas when you grow up in Texas. So I lived there for 5 years, and I was reading the newspaper, and it said try out for 50th anniversary. So I'm dating myself. But I see this $50,000 blinking at me. Come pose in a bikini. I'm like, okay, I could do that. Give me a bottle of wine.
Pose for what, baby?
Playboy.
For Playboy.
Playboy. And
really?
Yes. And Playboy had been approaching me in Kansas City numerous times.
They saw your picture somewhere? How did they find you?
People told them about me, or they knew about me. Wow. And I kept turning them down, and my grandmother was alive. So, and some were just like for a pictorial. One was for the Happening Country and Western Bar. I'm like, no, I should have done them all,
What year was this?
I don't remember.
And you came to LA in 1985?
Right.
And did you model for Playboy shortly thereafter? Or?
No, before, because David Meese, he did The Girls of Texas. So I posed. Well, first I tried out for 50th anniversary, and he said, all right, so they want you to do The Girls of Texas. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, but if I'm going to pose naked, I want to be Playmate. I don't want to be a pictorial. So I kind of blew that off, and then I'm like, I'm moving to LA.
So is Playmate a different level than just posing?
Oh, yeah. Playmate's the top. There's only 12. There's only 12.
I didn't know that.
And there's a lot of Playboy models. But, I mean, even just being a Playboy model is special, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back then especially, it was very difficult to be even chosen. And I think once you were chosen, didn't it pay very well?
Yeah. I mean, but, you basically pose naked for nothing while you're
Oh,
trying out.
really?
Oh, yeah. And they own your pictures for life. So they've got my pictures for life.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I thought when you get chosen back then you get 100 grand. Is that true? Is that a legend?
No, that's like probably Playmate of the Year would have.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think every Playmate got that much, but Playmate of the Year did, for sure. But I was a Playboy model, but I tried out, and then I'm like, okay, I regret not doing the girls at Texas. I should have done it. And then they put one little picture of me in the magazine without my name, just with a bottle of Perrier. And then, so I moved to LA and I was invited to the parties. And I actually went to Hef and Kimberly's wedding.
Wow.
And Hef was staring at me, and all my friends were pushing me towards him. But I'm like, oh my God, it's kind of creepy. He's getting married, but he's staring me up and down. And I desperately wanted to be in the movie, in this magazine. So it was kind of crazy, though. Just like, it was a weird feeling when he's getting married.
So how was Hef as a person, as a man? Did he have other people talk for him, or would he go up to you and speak to you in person?
Well,
Like, would he call for you? How would that work?
he completely undressed me. That's it. When he was getting married.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I
I mean,
heard
with
he
his
was-
eyes.
Yeah, I heard he, objectified women a lot. It seemed like.
But I mean, I liked him as a person when I did meet him, because I never had sex with him. I have to be really honest. I didn't, but I was in his bedroom one time, and I was invited up there with one of my girlfriends. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen. Now, his chandelier with the panties, that was for real. A million panties on the chandelier.
Hanging on a chandelier.
Yes.
And
then,
this is while he's married.
No. They were divorced then. No.
Okay.
No, he got a divorce, so I got married, he got married, and we both stopped. I mean, he stopped having the parties, and I didn't go. And then when he got a divorce, my husband died, and I called him up and I said, hey, can I get back on the list? But it's all superficial, because it's not like you just get on the list. You have to send pictures, and they have to approve you. So for me, at my age, and for me to be going to the Playboy Mansion since 1985 to the day he died was a huge coup in my hat. Oh, but I have to tell you, the first time I went to the mansion, I forgot this. You're not going to believe this. So they invited me, and I'm living in LA. I had just moved there. And it was like a one-on-one deal with me and Hef. And I didn't realize how important that was. Do you know he had his stroke that night? And I'm like blonde hair, but like blonde and dumb, I should say, or naive. And I'm like, and they're like, they didn't tell me he had a stroke. They're saying, oh, eat whatever you want. And I'm like, this table is bigger than this room, the Playboy table. And there's like maybe 15 people. That was it. And he had a stroke upstairs the very first time I went there. Talk about my bad luck.
What were you doing there the first time? It was an audition or?
No, he invited me to dinner.
Wow.
But it was like a private dinner.
And then he has a stroke.
Yeah.
And the ambulances came and everything?
I didn't know it. I didn't know any of that. But it wasn't that much fun for me. Just and because they were all worried about him and no one would tell me. I had never been there. But there were like 10 people downstairs. And nobody was telling me what was going on. So I didn't stick around that long.
Was that documented? Did people know about the stroke
Yes.
and things like that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't know about it that night. And because we didn't have cell phones.
I actually have heard that Hef was a very private and guarded person.
Totally. Old school. And all his friends he had for years. And I think he was really cool that way. And probably to his detriment, because he was the last person to get on the internet, where Hustler and Gucciani, they were all on the internet and Hef wasn't. And then when the girls, the Playmates, went out on their own and tried to start their own website, I know there was a lawsuit and some of the girls got banned because he thought he kind of owned them. And then the courts ruled against him. And then he had to see that, okay, the girls have their own life. And now once they're a Playmate, they have a 2-year contract, because I think he just thought it went on forever because he was so loyal to everyone. He thought everyone was going to be so loyal to him, but that loyalty actually hurt him in sales and you know, he should have been more progressive.
Wow. Is it true that he was very controlling of the women in the business?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't date him, but he was very, well, after Dorothy Stratton, the horrible thing that happened with
What was
her.
that?
Well, she got murdered.
Who was she?
She was a Playmate star, like one of the biggest ones. And she was going to be a really famous actress. I mean, she did some things, but
How did she get murdered?
her husband.
Oh
It was tragic. It was really horrible. But so then he started screening guys, because guys get jealous of the girls, and I know that they had a DNA list, and not DNA like your genes. It's do not accept list, and so I actually know some people that got put on that list. I had a horrible stalker one time, and I called up the Playboy Mansion. I said, "Do you guys know this guy?" They go, "Yeah, we're sorry, you do too." So I wasn't the only one he stalked. So a lot of things go along with Playboy, where you really have to be careful.
Yeah, it's not just glitz and glamour. It's a bit scary.
Yeah, and the guys think you're so promiscuous, or I don't know, whatever they think. Just if you're related, if you're going to Playboy, I guess they think, oh, and that dude was an attorney too, so it was really creepy.
So just maybe on a lighter note, who are some celebrities that you met along the way at the Playboy Mansion? Because as we know, the Playboy Mansion had Pauly Shore and all sorts of fun people. It was not just beautiful women, but it was amazing musicians, artists, etc.
Pauly Shore. Oh my God. Yeah, we partied.
Awesome.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
That's so funny you brought him up. But I got my sister into the mansion once. And so my sister and Pauly went and did blow. I don't know if I could say that, but whatever. He was cool. He was just fun. And I mean, there were the regulars like Scott Baio, and there are just so many people. Steve Bing. I mean, there was like Stephen Powers. I mean, I could go on and on and on about. Gosh, I have pictures with so many people and their autographs. That was a blast.
Who was the most famous?
The most famous. Geez, I don't know. Tony Curtis was there all the time.
Really?
Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis.
Yeah, Tony Curtis. I thought that was pretty cool.
Of course, and unbelievable.
And OJ, I met him once, and I was like, oh, that's creepy.
Before the murder or after?
It was before.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there
was he a creep? You felt creep
Yeah,
vibes?
I thought he was a creep.
He seemed like a creep.
I thought he was. But there were so many celebrities. And I'm thinking, all right, who did that like freaky song? Super Freak.
Rick James.
Oh, yeah, Rick James. He was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I partied with him. He was really cool.
Give us a Rick James story, please.
I don't know. He lived up to that song. Let me tell you that.
Okay.
That sounds like something went down with you and Rick James.
So he's a super freak.
Yeah, he was. But, because everybody would dance and get naked. And I have to tell you, okay, from a small town, I'm like pinching myself every time I got to go, because it wasn't like I had to be approved every single time, on my looks. So that part, it's real superficial, but I get it. That was their whole image. But it's a voyeurism, because you walk in one room and people are having sex, and you walk in another room, they're doing blow. You walk in another room, they're having sex. And then you're looking at the most gorgeous gorgeous women in the world that are naked or half naked, or, I would wear see-through tops, and I jumped in the grotto. I had on this trashy lingerie was my favorite. A lot of us shopped at Trashy, but I had on a see-through outfit with rhinestones, and I'm seeing all these cowboys in the grotto, and I'm like, oh damn, I gotta get in there.
Wow.
So it was like voyeurism. It really was.
Out of all the years I lived in Los Angeles, I only made it in once, but I tried to always go to the Halloween party, and we'd go and they'd say you are not on the list. Oh. And I went, in fact, with my friend Alexis Arquette, and they were very weird about it. When we walked up, immediately they turned us away. But the time that I did get in, it was the WeHo Awards. They were having the awards for West Hollywood at the actual mansion.
Oh, yeah. He was a big supporter.
He was really cool in that sense. And then they had limos. They brought us. It was incredible. I got to see the grotto firsthand, you know. I think that particular night, Bridget from the show, Girls Next Door, was there. And Leslie Jordan was there. I remember I met him there. And Celine Luna, if you guys know, she's a really talented actress. She was there. I can't remember who else, but that's what I remember. One time I got to go.
Do you remember the jars of Vaseline?
I didn't see that because we were in kind of like an outdoor area where the grotto was.
Yeah.
We didn't go inside the actual mansion. What was that like?
Oh, the mansion was gorgeous, but they let you know they record it because of stalking for him and for the girls and for everything. So that part kind of creeps you out because you're going to the bathroom and you're peeing or whatever you're doing and you're like, where's the camera? You know, but I mean, you know, after a couple of drinks, you don't even care. And
I think that speaks to his controlling nature that he did that.
He had to do that though. He really, because I mean, I can't even imagine the threats he had either. But Serena Williams was there a lot. So there were so many cool people. James Woods was there. I mean, there were just, I'm thinking about, there were just tons of people. I can't even, I'm drawing a blank. There were so many people. But yeah, it was just, and then what he had was red, yellow, blue pillows when I first went. And it's like all these pillows and the best food and caviar and all this stuff I don't eat. But I mean, food, and you know, you starve yourself for a week and then you go there and you're so hungry. But they have the best food and the bartenders were so cool. But then they would get fired if they got out of line. A lot of my friends were bartenders there for years. I'm still friends with some of them, yeah.
Well, that was definitely a bygone era. The year that I actually went, I think was the last year that he had parties there. I can't remember. I think it was like 2010 or something. And, you know, it's like a legend now. It's just like a mythical thing. Hef is, of course, gone. He died, and it's just a bygone era. But, Kathy, to kind of segue, I want to ask you, because, of course, you were on Botched.
Yes,
okay?
with you, baby doll.
Yes, it was amazing to be on the show with you. Kathy brought me along as her friend while she underwent, what was it, Kathy? You had your nose done and a neck lift. Yeah. And you had these surgeries before, and these were revisions. Is that right?
Right, in Ecuador.
So
remember,
walk us through that.
I looked like Michael Jackson. I had no nose.
Oh, girl, I thought you were always gorgeous.
No.
Dr. Dubrow and Dr. Nassif did an excellent job. They really did.
Oh, my God, they're the best.
They really are.
They are.
So walk us through what led you to Botched. You went to Ecuador and had terrible surgery. What happened?
One of my girlfriends owned Herbalife. And so she had a mansion in Ecuador. And she's like, oh, I go there all the time to get plastic surgery. And we could get massages. And I'm like, oh, say the word massage, I'm there. And so, yeah, we had massages every day. And then I actually went for my neck. I wasn't going for my nose at all because I thought my nose, I was like, okay, it's okay. And the doctor's like, oh, you know, your nose. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then, so I didn't like really think about it. But she ended up leaving me after she had her surgery. And I couldn't speak that much Spanish. So it was really horrible because they started giving me aspirin, and I needed 3 pints of blood when I came back to the United States because I was bleeding to death because they were giving me aspirin.
So the surgery was basically a disaster.
It was horrible. Like I told Botched, it was like The Exorcist in the hospital and the hotel. Before I left, it was literally vomit was just shooting out of my mouth. And then I was so weak, I was actually wheelchaired on the plane and off of it. I couldn't even stand.
Yeah, because isn't there a point in time where they say they don't advise you to fly for certain things and pressures?
Yeah.
You know?
I knew that if I stayed there, I was going to die. I actually knew I was going to die. If I could have, when I landed in the United States, if I could have kissed the ground, if I was strong enough, I would have. I've never been so grateful to be in the United States.
That is a cautionary tale. Be very careful when you're doing plastic surgery abroad.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, Kathy, what was the experience like being on Botched? How was that?
I loved it. I don't think I had a bad experience. It's just that I can't take pain. And I remember I was like, oh, I need more pain pills. And I go, that fire hydrant in the hallway, I'm going to break it. So I think I finally got a couple extra, but they were really not getting, they're not getting to giving pain pills.
So for the show, for those of you that haven't seen it, Botched is a show where they revise people who have had plastic surgery, and they basically redo the surgery. So in Kathy's case, they redid her nose and redid her neck, and it looks beautiful. They did such a great job.
Oh, and he said I had the thinnest skin he'd ever worked with. Oh, great. Like, tell me something I don't know. But you were my best friend, and you were great.
Well, it was really kind of scary to see you go through that, to be honest with you, because the beginning thing we filmed, I met Kathy at this flower shop, and we were just talking, and you were telling me basically what you just told our listeners, about the horrible experience in Ecuador. And then we go from there to, I didn't see you. They separated us. You went to the doctor's office, you went to the visit, and then you actually went under the knife and did the surgery. And then I didn't hear from you. So I was like, did this go well? What happened? And then I remember you called me when you were in Palm Desert when you were recovering. And I was so relieved to see you, but it was super swollen. And it looks super different than what it looks like now.
Oh, yeah.
So when I first saw you, Kathy, I was like, what'd you do?
I know.
I was like, what these guys do? Because everything was like so swollen.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the results, because the second scene that I did with you, it was the reveal where they revealed the surgery. And Kathy came down the stairs looking incredible. It was just like Miss America. I couldn't believe the difference.
Oh, I know. Thank you. They did a great job. But it was also having my best friend there was really helpful.
Well, thank you, baby. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I do have to say it was years ago. And since then, I've, gone through my own journey. I've been going through transition and everything. And I was kind of living a more like non-binary life back then. I was a little bit in between genders. But I figured it out and figured out which side I'm supposed to be on. But Kathy, let me also ask you about what you're doing now. You do vacation rental, and if I have it right, you were just on the news, were you not?
Yes, I was. NBC.
So Kathy was on NBC News because she runs a vacation rental, and right now in the Valley, well, actually this is going to air later. So when you guys hear this, you'll know that we were, when recording this, in the middle of Coachella and Stagecoach, which are the two biggest festivals that come to the Coachella Valley. So Kathy, tell us what you told the news.
Well, I've been doing vacation rentals for 19 years in the Valley. So, and it was wild because they called me up, Airbnb, and they're like, how would you like to be on the news for the Airbnb rentals? I'm like, yeah, sure. And they go, an hour? I go, 2. I needed to go get some makeup on. But yeah, and when they found out I had been doing it for 19 years, it's a long time, but it's a hard work. But I love it. I've had some bands stay at my place, and I've never had a bad experience. But I actually set some really strong rules about take the party to Coachella. If you want to come here and chill and hang out at the pool, I love it. And so we're all good that way.
So when you are hosting these people, where are you staying?
Well, I stay with my girlfriend down the street.
Okay. And again, you're from Palm Desert.
Yes.
And Palm Desert is just about 15, 20 minutes from the festival. So
14 miles, exactly.
So it's a very close proximity to the festival.
Right. And I manage about 15 rentals out here.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if it's just the one home or multiple, because, to get some sort of press, you would think you'd have multiple properties.
I do, and I have 4 in LA. So I'm for hire if anybody needs a property manager.
So for anybody listening that needs maybe for the next season or Power Trip, we have all these other festivals coming up in the desert, or we have the Akashur Arena. Please let us know, or let the listeners know. Plug yourself, if you will.
Yeah, Kathy Brown, and on my Instagram, Kathy Brown Kathy with a K, and on Facebook, Kathy Brown Model with a K, and I'm on LinkedIn too. So
what's your LinkedIn?
I think it's Kathy Brown Kathy. I'm not our model. I honestly forgot.
So if you need a cozy place to stay, a nice hang, contact Kathy Brown.
And Kathy, I want to ask you on a real estate note, because everybody knows there's nothing hotter in the Coachella Valley than real estate. What do you think is going on with this real estate? Because I've seen it go just through the roof. It's more expensive than it's ever been. What do you think is going to happen as a property manager here?
I think it's going to keep going up. I mean, I don't know. Interest rates are high, but we have so many cash buyers that I don't think it affects it. And then more people will buy when the interest rates go down. But I just think real estate in anywhere in California is a gold mine.
Yeah, especially, with the fact that you can, in some areas of the Coachella Valley, do vacation rental. I personally, as a resident of the Coachella Valley, think that they should make uniform laws across the board, because there are certain cities, like, for example, Palm Springs, you're allowed to do vacation rental, and Palm Desert you are, but not Cathedral City. And I don't think that's fair. I think it needs to be the same everywhere.
There's a lot of things that aren't fair about it, but you're fighting the hotel business, and they have deep pockets. And actually, Palm Springs did ban short-term rentals. I was on that group with Airbnb to save them. They saw how much money they lost and brought them back.
Wow.
And you saw the commercial that I just did. They said they make $9 million in 2 weekends. That's a lot of money.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
That's just Airbnb. That doesn't count the other platforms. There's VRBO and there's other ones too.
Well, I think our valley is just going to continue to grow. What do you see as the future of the Coachella Valley?
I love it. I saw the AccuSure tonight, and I've never been there, but I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so cool, because I was driving from Washington to here, and it was lit up, and between that, because it's got ice skating for kids, hockey for kids, then it has concerts. I mean, that kind of put us on the map. And then we have Disney coming, which is really going to make everybody's house
What
worth
is Disney
more money.
doing here?
Disney's coming on Monterey, right down the street from me.
They're making Disneyland? What are they doing?
They are doing storybook living. Basically, it's in a community developed by Disney. So it's open for the community. They have a huge lake. Apparently, it's open for the public, and it's got a ton of real estate, and it's actually right next to the hood. So if you exit Monterey, it's all fenced off now. It's all sand. But in a couple of years, it's going to be a big Disney space for everybody. There's going to be homes and restaurants, and there's all sorts of renderings. If you just type in Disney Palm Desert, it'll pop up. There's all sorts of artist renderings of what it's going to look like. And that's right down the street from the Hood Bar where we work.
Yeah, and the reason they did it here is because Walt Disney lived here. So I was like, yeah, why here? And a lot of people were upset about all the water, but it's going to be recycled. But yeah, this was his favorite place to live, and they're going to have the characters, and they do have the hotel, and all of us as residents, we're going to be able to pay a day pass to go in, which is cool. And then they're going to have condos, they're going to have mansions, senior living. They are not going to do short-term rentals, which is good for me.
Wow. And just for those of us that are listening that aren't familiar, the AccuSure is the big arena that they just built in the Coachella Valley in, I think, Thousand Palms sort of area, isn't it? And that's right off of Varner. And we have incredible bands and things playing there, huge things like Harry Styles played there.
I know.
I mean, it's crazy.
The Doobie Brothers, all sorts of things. They have so many different events. It's not just music, it's bull riding. It's all sorts of
Sports
things.
too.
But they're going to bring the UFC there. They're going to bring all sorts of things. And I think it's like 11,000 seats. It's a smaller arena, but it's amazing for what we have. It's right off the 10 freeway.
I think it's in the perfect location too, because I think, don't quote me, but I think prior to this, they had planned to put it in Palm Springs, which would have just been a mess.
It would
You're
have,
right.
Traffic would have been a mess.
Yeah, you're right. So the only problem that I've heard about it, and I've heard this from everybody, is Uber, because they don't have enough parking. But it is the perfect location.
It really is.
And the UFC is going to take off on that. Wow. Can you imagine?
Yeah, we have a local guy, a friend of mine, Cub Swanson. He's a UFC fighter, and I think he might be one of the first ones to fight here, but he is from the desert. He's been in the UFC for the last, I think, 15 to 20 years, and he's been advocating to bring the UFC to Palm Springs, which is a huge deal.
I love it.
So what's next for Kathy Brown?
what's next for me? I don't know. I'm working all the time.
And do you see yourself going back to reality TV?
Yeah, if I got asked, sure. Oh, well, nah, I gotta say, I got these big old boobies, and I got them when I was a mom and a widow, and I didn't have grandkids, and I wasn't my age, which I'm not saying how old I am.
21 for our listeners.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yes.
gonna say Kathy is gorgeous, drop dead gorgeous, and I'm looking at her, so that's just for the listeners because
And I
there's no
agree.
video. She's so beautiful.
And my
Oh,
eyesight is
thank
very
you.
good. Kathy, you look beautiful.
Thank you, but I'm gonna take them out.
So why do you want to take them out?
Because I'm older and I'm a grandma now, and I don't want to be in a bathing suit around my grandkids. And I gained a little weight since COVID. So, there's a time and a place. Like, when I got them, I was going to the mansion. And because when I first started going, I didn't have them. And then, after a while, I've been looking at these girls with all these big boobs. Oh my God, they're gorgeous. They're gorgeous. And I'm like, I got to get them. I got to get them. And the doctor made him he went in through the belly button. So I have no scars either. So he made them bigger than what I wanted. So I'm like kind of petite. And then I have I feel like Dolly Parton, like my boobs walk in the door before me. But some guys like it. But I mean,
I'm sure all guys that are heterosexual like it. I'm sure.
they've had their day. Let's just say that I'm ready to go down to an A.
Well, Dr. DeBro, Dr. Nassif, if you're listening,
Yeah.
please call us.
Yes.
And I'd like to have a whole new face if you're listening. So anyhow, Kathy, I have to say, God bless you. We love you. And thank you so much for coming to the Living
God
Legendary
bless you.
podcast.
Well, Sham,
nice.
I have a few questions,
Sure.
and we're only at our 33
Oh, we
minute
are.
mark. Yeah.
Oh, we are. I'm so
I'm
sorry.
ready. I have
I
some.
don't,
I can answer
honestly,
lots
I'm
of-
very not good at this.
So I'm going to take the reins for a moment.
Take
Okay,
the
so we
reins.
talked about it, the mansion with Hef, obviously, and then Palm Desert. So we talked about where you grew up, but why Palm Desert? How did you end up in Palm Desert?
Oh,
Out
that's
of all
so-
the places.
That's a great question. That's so funny because I met my husband in L.A. I had left Dallas, and I met him 2 weeks after I was in L.A. And I'm driving a red Corvette, and he's driving a red Ferrari, and he's like super hot, and he looked like Burt Reynolds, and that was kind of it. So I ended up pregnant and married, like boom, boom, boom. I didn't care about Playboy anymore. And so on the weekends, our favorite place to come was Palm Springs. And I'm sure that my son was consummated here. So I've always had a thing for the desert here. But I love it.
And then, so that happened, but how did you say, okay, now I'm coming here. Now I'm going to live here. Now I'm going to do my Airbnb business. So-
Okay, that's a good question. Well, I did look in LA because I knew I wanted to buy a place I could rent and live in it too. And LA was just so expensive and you couldn't get what you could get here. And I have to be honest, I've traveled the world, a lot of places. And whenever I come to the desert, there's no feeling I get like I get when I come here. And it's just not that much traffic. I know that's going to change. But, I walk into a restaurant, people know me, and it's just peaceful. And so I could have bought a 1-bedroom, 1-bath in LA versus my 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo here.
So when you say restaurants, what restaurants do you walk in and they say, oh, it's Kathy, or let's get a table for Kathy?
I go to Sebon a lot, and there's the chocolate place, and of course they knew me at the Nest. I don't go there anymore, but I know almost everybody here. I mean, just going out. And Sham, we've hung out all over Palm Springs and all
definitely.
over the hood. We've
And
gone
Kathy has
everywhere.
actually come and hosted our drag queen bingo
Yes.
before. Years ago when we first started, Kathy was a co-host.
I was so nervous, though. I dropped all the bingo things.
Oh, Kathy, you were great. I remember it didn't matter because that was when we first started. And honestly, I think there were like 3 people in the bar.
I think
Fact.
now that I know that Kathy is a local, we should have her back.
I think we should too.
I would love that.
I would love that
I'll
too.
come back.
That'd be
yeah.
awesome.
I could tell you about the time I got roofied
Where?
at the Playboy Mansion.
Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about one of the worst things. So, Smirnoff was the host of the party that night. And so all these guys, they're kind of younger, And they have like the VIP table, and all the girls, of course, go by the VIP tables because they're checking them out, and the guys are calling them over there. So I'm with all my girlfriends. We all end up at that table, and we all left because we thought they were kind of creepy. But there were at least 8 of us who got roofied that night from that table, and we all talked about it the next day, but we were afraid to tell Hef because Hef didn't want bad things to come out. And so between all of us, we just kind of kept it a secret. I'm sure he knew, and that because if they did it to 8 of my friends, think about how many girls they really did it to, and that ended up with them that didn't want to be with them. So that was, I remember I'm in these shoes like I have on now. I had to get in the mood. I had to get these on, and I'm literally crawling up my driveway because I couldn't walk from the roofie. It was so bad.
She's, you're telling it in a like almost like lighthearted way, but that's horrific.
It was horrific. It was.
Did you ever see Bill Cosby at the mansion?
No, thank God.
I mean, obviously, I don't even need to tell the listeners what that's about. But,
I know.
I mean, I know that he was close with Hef, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Sorry, someone going through that, being dosed or drugged or whatever you want to call it. How did you know that was the case? And if you could just share with the listeners your experience with that.
Well, my girlfriends that I came with, we were all like, we were feeling sick. And we knew that something was wrong with us. So my girlfriend goes, everything's going south. So that's what we call it, the night everything went south. So we were like, we have to get out of here, and obviously we were getting rides home.
You had to find somewhere safe to be.
Yeah, we just had to get out of there because it was just bad. I mean, I was getting sick, and you just didn't feel normal. Like I said, I was literally crawling on the ground. But yeah. Oh, one thing I forgot that about Hef's in his bedroom, which was so weird, but it was so Hef. In his bed, every single wall of his bedroom had 8 tapes. So he would sit there and watch the movies of the people coming in, of having sex, or just the parties. And the butlers told me he would watch them over and over and over. I'm telling you, it was like he was obsessed with that. But I have never seen, they were stacked on the side all the way, every corner, and then the panty chandelier. I just remember that.
What I heard about Hef was that he was kind of a voyeur. And he would like have this situation going on in his room where like a bunch of people would be having sex and he wasn't really involved. He would be like more watching.
Well, the night I went into his room, I think that's what happened. I kind of, because one of my girlfriends ended up going out with him, and I was like, oh, I think I'm getting out of here. I was just like, okay, this is not what I want to be here for.
And he was in the room while people were.
Oh, yeah.
And he wasn't doing anything.
No.
Wow.
But I mean, I always felt like a voyeur myself every time I went, because I was. I mean, you're watching naked people walk around and have sex.
It's like Disneyland for adults. Yeah.
It was.
That's so interesting that you were around at that time, and obviously that time's passed because he's passed away. But where did the look come from where he had his robe on? When did that happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I know he used to smoke a pipe, and then when I started going to the mansion, because I would take little souvenirs, because he had the HFM, his foundation. He had scrap paper, so I'd always take that. And then he had matches that said Playboy, so I've got some. But then when he figured out smoking wasn't cool, he got rid of the pipe, got rid of the matches, and he just, I don't know how he did the pajama thing though, but he had them in every color, like hot pink and blue. I don't really know the story of that. I know there was a story.
Well, another thing just to add to the story is the Playboy Mansion, at least to what I know, is it hasn't changed much. Like the grotto and the rooms and other places get updated. What I've seen or been told that it looks exactly as it did then. Is that true?
Yes. And the guy who owns Mars or whatever, some big candy company who lives next door, bought it, and he was going to tear it down. And thank goodness the neighbors didn't want it to be. So now it's a historical site.
Yeah, that definitely seems like a strange thing to tear down. It should almost, I mean, not a museum, but something of the sort. It's a moment in time and live in infamy.
I think a museum would be cool. I thought they were going to do like a
I get,
Graceland.
yeah, maybe guided tours. Yeah, that could
Yeah.
work. But just as long as they're, paying respect to it.
Because
Wow.
they haven't touched it. It's still there, and he can't. And he's so rich. I don't think he cares, but he's done nothing with it.
So I'll ask you this question. Who's running it now? Who's Hef's living partner that's running it?
Oh, his foundation, Crystal, his wife, and his son. Yeah,
His son is very involved, I've heard,
right.
in the running of the whole business.
Cooper
the
is,
magazine,
yeah.
the magazine,
Marston, Marston's not involved so much, but Cooper. And they're both great. I have pictures of them as little kids, which is so cool. I mean, I have pictures of Hef's kids in the mansion, in the orange room. It's like called the sex room or something, but it's carpet. I don't know. But we were just hanging out talking.
Now, I may be ignorant to this, but was that mansion built for Hef, or did he find it and then put his...
Barbie Benton found it, and he bought it, and I think it was kind of original. From the stories, I don't think he did much.
How big is the property? Like acreage, do we know?
I think it's about 8 acres.
Okay,
It has a private zoo. I mean, it's
large.
amazing. Oh, for LA, I think it's the biggest property there, but it was at that time.
And I heard it had all these different entrances, and it had like an underground thing or something. I've
Oh,
heard.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the underground thing? What was
He had
it?
a tunnel.
Tunnel. That's what I've
Yeah,
heard. Yeah.
he had a tunnel because he had the house next door.
So
Kimberly,
he would travel. But
Kimberly bought, once they got a divorce, Kimberly was in the house next door. So his kids would go through the tunnel, and I know Hef did, and I don't know his friends. I didn't go in the tunnel. I didn't see that. But, I mean, he had a gym down there. And he had a tanning bed. Tanning beds, oh, my gosh. I got to tell you, Ron Jeremy attacked my girlfriend in the tanning bed.
what do you think about that? For our listeners that don't know, Ron Jeremy is one of the biggest adult film stars of all time. And about 2 years ago, he was accused of basically, I guess, sexual misconduct with many, many different women. And he's in prison serving a very long sentence. What do you think about that?
Ron was pretty nice to me, but after what I saw him do to my girlfriend, I believe everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
I encountered Ron a few times. He was always friendly, but I never was in a situation like that at all with him.
Well, I was in the room, she was in the room, I think a couple other people, and he was like all over her, and I don't know what would have happened to her if we weren't there.
That's horrible.
Yeah, so that was kind of
So his day was coming.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, too.
And I guess he has dementia now, from what I've heard and seen in photos.
I don't know.
He looks insane. He doesn't look anything like, he doesn't look anything like the Ron Jeremy that no, seriously, he's a shadow of his former self. Google Ron Jeremy.
Oh.
See what I'm talking about, guys?
Life
he
is
looks-
sad sometimes, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes it's karma.
So you were with Playboy, and you were saying how there was this loyalty to Hef, whether it was for the good or for the bad. Did Hustler and these other companies, these other copycats, if you will, did other people, say, hey, would you come to us instead, or were you very loyal with the Playboy image?
No, I got asked to be in every magazine, Penthouse and all of them. But no, I had no desire to do anything. It was either Playboy or nothing.
Playboy, how can I say this? It's very respectable in a way.
You're posing nude, but it's more wholesome.
Exactly.
So that was the whole thing. It wasn't so trashy and
as smut or a word for it, if you will.
Yeah, that's it for sure.
There's something classy about it.
Yeah, and Hef was classy, and like I said, he was loyal, and he expected people to be loyal to him, and they were loyal to him, or they didn't come back.
Yeah, I can't imagine you going far, being unloyal to somebody that has cameras and microphone and recording devices everywhere. He's gonna know who the rats are.
I know, and the fact that
smart on his end, maybe.
Yes, it was. And when I found out that he just sat there and watched all the movies and of all the parties and of all the people over and over, so he knew everything. I think he probably had tapes on Cosby and didn't release them. That's what I think.
Wow.
I'm sure there's a ton of people that have videos which they would not want to be seen. But again, that's Hollywood, right?
Yeah, that's Hollywood for sure. It's Hollywood.
And it's definitely, like we were saying, it's a time that I think will never be again.
We're talking about pre-internet, pre-Facebook, Instagram.
Right.
It's just one of those things where we just had, Polaroids and we had film. It was, word of mouth, AM, FM radio, another time.
Yeah. My first picture with Playboy was a Polaroid.
On your audition?
Yeah.
Wow. So you go in an audition and there's just a Polaroid camera and they take a Polaroid.
Yeah.
That's the audition.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you just if you can, just kind of transport us to that moment, the lighting, the location, who was there, what's happening, what were you feeling when you walked in there, that Polaroid camera?
I was in Dallas. I can't remember the hotel, Westin. I don't know. It was some fancy hotel, but David Meese was the photographer. He lived in Dallas. And I'm like, okay, where's the wine? Okay. But I was in my bathing suit, so that was fine. But then when they're like, okay, you got to get naked now, I'm like, yeah, where's the wine?
Sorry, was this the $50,000 thing?
Yes,
Okay,
the 50,000 that was
Okay,
blinking in my eyes. 50th anniversary, 50,000. So I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I need the wine and get naked. And then he gets out his camera, and I actually asked him. I said, because I'm still friends with him, and he lives in Vegas now. And I said, hey, do you have a copy of those pictures? And he goes, oh, I think I just have one, but you had your clothes on. So Hef has them somewhere, or whoever bought. I think somebody bought Al Hef's pictures, and I think a lot of Playmates got mad because I think they're putting them on the porn sites now. That's what I heard, something like that.
Well, that's pretty shady to be
Yeah.
taking pictures without people's permission and putting them online.
Well, they did it after he died.
So he had a thing. It was like how artists have their blue period, their whatever period. He had this blonde thing. Did he have brunette, redhead? Did he have other things like that?
Well, Barbie was a brunette,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there was another one I forgot. Most of them were blondes, though.
Blondes.
It seems like all his wives certainly were blondes.
Yeah, and all his girlfriends were blondes. Yeah.
Can I ask you, what do you think about Holly and her things that she said? Because Holly was, a cast member on his show, Girls Next Door on E! Entertainment, and she came forward years after he died, and I guess they were married, weren't they?
No.
No, they weren't. Okay, but she was like the main girl,
Yeah.
right?
But I think she has a grudge because he didn't marry her. But I do know that she had some really difficult times in the bathtub. I think she almost died.
What was that about?
Depression.
She tried to.
I think so.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he didn't want to marry her, and she wanted him to marry her.
And that was a point in time where I think it was maybe VH1 was the production company.
It was E!
Was it E! Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, it was E! Entertainment where they had the Playboy show and they had 3 girlfriends at the time.
Yeah, it was basically a reality
Girls
show.
Next Door.
The Girls Next Door, which was a very entertaining show. And that's kind of sad to know that because that wasn't brought to light. I don't know about that, but I remember watching the show and
She seemed
and
very
it
happy.
seemed like a very lighthearted show. These girls were
Exactly.
having fun.
Yeah.
They're doing their Easter thing. It's like, oh, we're going to Vegas and Hef. Again, I'm just watching it as a spectator, but again, it's Hollywood and not everything is as it seems.
And now basically what Holly has alleged is that it was very controlled and she couldn't even eat anything really, I think from what I read, without, getting permission and things like that.
No, I actually went in the kitchen, and that was a trip too, because they had their names, and they had they could eat whatever they wanted. But of course, he didn't want them gaining weight. And I know that he would fix their teeth. Hef was very generous with a lot of things he did for people. But yeah, it is Hollywood, and he did want you to look good.
Well, I guess that's the whole thing about it. It's
Yeah.
all about, looks.
But I
Magazine.
think they had a curfew. Well, you guys watched the show, and I didn't realize they had the curfew either for a while. But he wanted them in bed at 9 or 10 or back. So I think that's why, they're young, and he was older. So I think that turned a lot of the girls off.
And you having been in a position where you actually posed for the magazine, did you feel empowered or objectified?
I don't know. I don't think I felt either way because my pictures weren't published, and I just thought it was a hoot that I got to do it.
Wait,
And-
so you shot for them, but they didn't publish the pictures?
right?
Did they pay you?
No, no, because I didn't make centerfold, and then they wanted me to do the Girls of Texas, and I said no. I
Oh,
should have
Kathy,
said,
I
should
can't
have said
believe the way
yes.
it's amazing how you're talking right now, like justifying that. Oh no, there's no justification for that. Playboy, you owe Kathy Brown a check.
Well, like you said earlier, you said that there's a gentleman. He said he has one photo or a photo of you with the clothes on. Is that what you're getting to?
No, I mean, Playboy owns. You sign that Playboy owns those pictures, so they do own them.
I just think it's very exploitative that they didn't pay you to actually do a shoot, because this was after the audition. This is something like, now you've booked it. Now you're shooting a pictorial. Whether they publish it or not, that's on them, in my opinion.
Well, I didn't do the pictorial.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No, I
oh, that
didn't.
was just the audition.
Right. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Never
so-
mind, Playboy. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm not mad at you anymore, Playboy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah. No.
That was the Polaroid.
Polaroid, and then David had his camera. Then he took
Okay,
other
that's what I
pictures.
was referring to. Okay.
Yeah, and then I don't know where. I've never seen him. I mean, if they're selling him to some porn site, which I heard they are, who knows what they're doing for the girls like me who tried out and didn't get picked. I mean,
Wow.
And what's kind of sadder, like, selling it short, is that it's history. Whether they're, nude or not, it should be appreciated because it's part of this time in history.
yeah. But I mean, I have so many pictures of me at the parties, and I was on their website, so that was cool.
How many photo shoots have you done for Hef over the time?
Well, I just did one actual photo shoot. Yeah, for the 50th anniversary, and then they were like, "Oh, do the Girls of Texas." I'm like, "No, that's why I came to LA. I wanted to be centerfold." But then, you're getting your pictures taken all the time at every party. I mean, and videotaped and everything. So
It's weird that there's this food chain where like centerfold is like the top of the food chain. There's like a pecking order.
there
seems.
totally is. But look, even no matter where you are on that pecking order, you're still there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still special.
So how approachable was Hef? Say we were all walking to the party now, right? Obviously, Hef knows you. If Sham wanted to say, "Hi, Hef," like, how would that go down?
After she says this, I'm going to tell you about my encounter
Okay,
with Hef.
let's hear this.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Hef was pretty approachable because I knew some of his best friends. And then if I was with a pretty girlfriend, so yeah, you could say hi to him, and he wasn't like, but he was behind ropes and stuff.
Was there people kind of guarding and?
Yeah, he had bodyguards and he was behind ropes and all that. But like he would grab you out if you walked by and he liked your look. He would grab you by a hand or something.
Okay. So my one encounter with Hef, and only one, was in, I think, 2007 or 8. Paris Hilton, who I was like, acquaintances with, she had just released an album, and she had a party at a club called Privilege in Sunset. This party, I'm telling you, look it up. Paris Hilton record release at Privilege. Everybody was there. What's the little guy from
Oh, Mini-Me?
Vern
yes,
Troyer.
Oh,
Vern
he-
Troyer. I have
he
pictures.
was-
I have pictures from the whole night. I have pictures
He
with
was
Vern.
at the mansion too.
He was always
And
at the mansion?
Paris Hilton too.
Okay, so Vern was there. I went with my friend Alexis Arquette. That's how I got in. And so many people. Natasha Lyonne was there. I can't even tell you how many people were there, but I have pictures of the whole thing. If we ever do a website with this, we'll upload it along with pictures of Kathy so that you guys can see what we're talking about. But basically, at the party, I was wasted. I looked like David Bowie. I had like a crazy mohawk, all this makeup. I was very flaming. It was very like, people didn't really look like that back then. So I walked into an area that I wasn't supposed to be. It was like a roped off area. And I just sat down next to who I thought was just some old dude. I didn't know it was Hugh Hefner. I sat down, okay, right next to him. He looked at me like, what the fuck do you think you're doing? You know what I mean? Had me kicked out in 3 seconds.
I bet he
and
did.
that was it.
Oh my God.
I didn't know it was him. I had no clue. And then my
That-
friend, as soon as I was kicked out, my friend goes, what the fuck are you doing? You just walked in and sat down right next to Hugh Hefner.
Sham,
That's so funny.
how did you even get there?
Well, what? How did I get to the
I know
party?
I said you did the Paris, the Vern Troyer or whatever, but how did you like physically get to the building, get in through the gate? Because you said that, you've
Okay,
only
I
been there
came-
the one time, and then you found the man himself and sat next to him.
Okay, so basically it was like this. I was just a wild club kid in Los Angeles, and I had this best friend, Alexis Arquette. Alexis was a member of the Arquette family. If you guys don't know who that is, well, look it up. And Alexis was a big movie star in her own right. She was on...
They come from an acting family.
Yeah, they come from an acting family. They're in all the movies that you have seen. Alexis was in Wedding Singer. I mean, Alexis, like I said, was a star in her own right. So Alexis invited me to the party, and it was probably the first red carpet I had ever been on. And when I walked on the red carpet, nobody knew who I was, but they all started taking my picture, and they asked me what my name was. And because I looked so crazy, I had all this makeup and this rainbow mohawk, I told them that my name was Samantha the Clown. And they went crazy. They let me right into the party. I walked in, and all I remember is Paris Hilton herself was standing on like the bar or something and lip syncing her song, the hit song Stars Are Blind, I think. And it was not that crowded because it was like, you had to be on a list to get in. And then every single person I was standing next to was famous. And there was an area that was roped off. It was like a, velvet rope. I took the initiative to just lift that rope and walk in as if it was roped off for me. And then I sat down on this couch next to what I thought was just a random old guy. And it turned out it was Hugh Hefner. And he looked at me like, "What are you doing, you lunatic?" And immediately, within probably less than a second, like a 0.5 of a second, 3 security guards came and almost physically threw me out. And then when I was out of there, I was like, "What did I do?" And my friend was like, "You just walked in and almost sat on Hugh Hefner's lap. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And you were totally oblivious that it was him.
Completely oblivious.
How could you be? He's such an iconic look.
He just was very...
What was he wearing?
He was very... I can't tell you exactly what he was wearing, but he was just
Pajamas. It had to be pajamas.
unassuming. He was unassuming.
I'm out here
he was
to-
unassuming. He didn't look...
I think you're right.
He was... And don't forget, the star of the party was Paris Hilton. So my eyes were on her. I didn't even know that this dude was
You weren't
there.
even thinking about it.
No. And there wasn't a big hubbub of cameras and flashes going off around him like there was for all the other celebrities that were there.
Now, when you sat down, did you just sit there and mind your business? Were you trying to gab with people, or what was going on?
Oh, no. I literally sat like almost on his lap. I sat right next to him and was, like I said, looking like, that look wasn't a typical look. I looked like a gutter punk with like a pound of makeup on my face.
And then again, you went through that velvet rope, so that was already the strike one there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could have seen me from a mile away.
So
and
what gave you the power to do that? Like, why do you think you should do that?
I thought that I was all that. Let me put it that
So
way.
you're
I
like, I'm going to go through this barrier because that's one to the next.
Nigel, I'm still like that. Nothing's changed.
Yeah,
I'm still exactly like that. Like I'm still.
That's so extreme though, because it's Hugh
Oh no,
Hefner.
nothing has changed. I'm serious. I'm super fearless, and I feel like.
Well, that's why you're going to be
know,
successful.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Where's the success? I'm still
And
waiting.
you're so
We're,
beautiful.
You're beautiful.
We're working on it.
Well, Kathy Brown, we have to say thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you. It's been fun.
Thank you for tuning in, and thank you so much to the gorgeous Kathy Brown.
Thank you, guys. Let's do it again.
We'll do it again. Kathy is from Palm Desert, California, which is where we work at the Hood Bar and Pizza. And I would love to have Kathy Brown call some bingo balls again, and then maybe tell some stories too.
Thank you, Kathy. We love you.
Thank you. I love you guys.
All right.